During this video segment, I will cover the admin section within Donor Trak. So it's way to the right, and in the admin area, first thing we're going to talk about is where you can set up your campaigns and appeals. Campaigns are more your broader categories, whereas appeals are the individual, maybe fundraisers that you're doing within that campaign. So organizations will set up their structure in different ways, but your constituents and businesses are giving towards an appeal, not a campaign. So campaigns might be something like maybe for each year you set up a brand new campaign. Or maybe you set up a campaign called End of Year Giving, and then your appeals would be 2015 end of year, 2016 end of year, 2017 end of year. However you want to set it is fine, but ultimately you set up a campaign. So in this case, let's say that we're going to create a campaign called End of Year Giving. And our goal for this, we can enter, let's say that, you know what, instead of this, I'm going to actually do our 2017 giving. Oops, do I have one of those already? We'll find out. And let's say that our goal for that year is $200,000. I can add notes in if I want to, and I'll click Add. So now we have that particular campaign. And let's go ahead, and so it shows our goal, shows that no money was raised yet. Now we can go ahead and set up our appeals within that campaign. So let's say that the first thing we're going to have is our telethon. So telethon 2017. And our goal for that is we want to raise $25,000. I can enter notes again. I can make this active if we want to start it right away, but if you want to make it inactive so that it doesn't clutter things up because you're not ready for it, that's fine as well. And then this last part here is if you turn on the automatic email receipt option in the utility screen, donors will receive basic email receipts containing their name and so forth. So this is if you want them to receive automatic emails. So I'm going to go ahead and leave that blank. I can go ahead and add another appeal if I so desire. So let's say that this is going to be our auction for 2017. And for this, we're hoping to raise $100,000. And again, can put in notes and that email, and I can go ahead and add that in as well. So we can continue to do that. And so you can move between the campaigns and go to other appeals as well. So that's now when I go to the constituents area, and let's say that this person wants to give a donation. Notice that they can add a gift. You can enter that gift, and we're going to create it as a new pledge. And in this case, let's do our 2017 giving. And notice here's the two appeals that we just entered. So we'll put this in and we'll save that gift. So this is where you set up your campaigns and appeals and where you can edit those as well. Constituent attribute list. What that allows you to do is this allows you to create your categories and your attributes for the constituents area. So in other words, if I go to constituents, again, let's go to Danielle, and if I go to attributes, these are the attributes that have been set up for our organization. So drama, band, chorus, executive board, and so forth. And these are the categories. So this shows me the involvement of this person or where you can count on them for support and so forth. So these items, so if we look at publications, there are 3 of them. Those are set up in the admin area. So notice you can add in a brand new category if you want to. And when you create those categories, instead of doing that, let's just go back. You can go to the attributes for those. Notice there's the 3 that I just entered. You could edit any of those if you needed to rename them. And you can add in brand new attributes to that particular category as well. So again, this is where you set up your structure, your categories and attributes for constituents, and you do the same for businesses, but those are two separate lists, so we had to break those out as separate items. Import constituents. This is typically a process that's done just with brand new donor track schools. So this is where you can import all of your constituent records. Basically what you do is you prepare them in Excel in this format. And notice there's a lot of data here, but they're not required fields. The only two fields, in fact, that are required are first name and last name. And actually, I should say also in column BI, you also have to put an X for a filler so we know it's the close of a record. We actually have a separate video on how to import constituents, so I just wanted to make you aware of what it is and where to find it. But if you want to learn more about that, look for the video on importing constituents. Likewise, you can import your businesses into Donor Trak. We have a utilities area. So this is where you can set up your label types, although we only have one label type in here right now because we built this long ago thinking that people would want all different label types, and they haven't. So we can skip over that. Automatic email receipts. Automatically send an email receipt to constituent and businesses when payments are entered. So if we check that, you can do that. And remember when we were looking at campaigns and appeals, in the appeals area, it had that automated message. That's where this is coming from. So if you uncheck this, then they won't automatically get an email. And I'd be real cautious about setting this up because it can send a lot of emails, but maybe that's okay. Pledge reminder emails. So when do you want folks to be reminded of an upcoming pledge? So the way that this school has it set up right now is if they have a pledge that comes due in 15 days, it will send out a reminder. And then again, on the due date itself, so this is 15 days before the due date, on the due date, 30 days after the due date. Maybe I want to also contact or send them a reminder on 60 days after the due date. I can do that as well. So that's completely customizable. And the pledge reminder itself, this is where you can customize that email and so forth, the message and so forth. So that is the utilities area. Users, this is where you can add in your users or manage your users. You can import those if you like, but typically in Donor Trak, you don't have a lot of users, so I don't know that I would worry about that. Users are the ones that are going to be able to log into Donor Trak and actually use the software. So to add in a brand new user, we can put in their first name, their last name, their desired username, their email address, and then I can generate a random password that they'll be forced to change the first time they log in, or I could actually type a password. So I'm going to do a type-in password instead, and maybe just use something that they know. So let's say that I'm going to use Knights because our school is the ABC School Knights. Oops. And you can tell them, but then what you can do is you can say force password change the first time they enter. You can have this email to them. It actually says email password, which isn't entirely true. It won't email the password, but it will email them a link that they could reset the password. And then as far as permissions, there's 3 items that you can do. Do you want to allow them to do what we're doing, edit users? Probably only a couple of people in your school that can do that. Do you want to allow them to have database management? That means that they can add constituents, delete constituents, businesses, generate reports, and so forth, but they're not going to be able to see financial data. So donation tracking basically allows them to deal with the finances as well. So if you have all 3 of those checked, they're going to be able to do everything. I could see a lot of your users are going to have this access, and just the top people have this access. And now I can go ahead and click add. I don't want to email them the password. So now it added them in. Primary contacts, looks like that's not working right now, but what that allows you to do is We'll get that fixed up. That's going to allow you to enter who your billing contacts are at for the Donor Trak product. So who do we email our invoices to, and who are folks that need to be aware of updates, changes, additions to the product, and so forth. And then the last item under here is the invoices area. This is for your billing folks. They can see the invoices. So see, this person or this school actually has a $140 invoice, which was due on the 15th and or on the 30th, and currently it's not paid. So I can go ahead and I could click on this if I wanted to actually print this out and send it in with a paper check, or I could pay right now with a credit card or an ACH payment or with PayPal. So that's the admin area of Donor Trak.